One. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Contour community meeting. Today is May 26th, 2020. I'm going to talk about a little about what we've been working on, go through some issue discussions, and if you have anything that you would like to add as well to the discussions or to the status updates, please do so in the HackMD that I'm linking there. And yeah, if you have any questions, just speak up throughout the meeting. And I'm going to share my screen so you all can see as well. Close all my tabs. There we go. Share my screen and shared. All right. So Steve, I'm gonna let you start here.
Sure. Yeah. So I was just giving a little update on work that Nick's been doing. So Nick, so Contour updates status in two places now. So one place is in any HTTP proxy. There's a status stanza at the bottom of that. So if you get an invalid status or valid status, whatever that is, Contour will update that. What we're adding as well is we added in 1.4 ability to update the ingress or the load balancer status. So the information when you create a service type load balancer would flow into the ingress object and update that status field there. What Nick is adding as well to add this to the HTTP proxy resource. So again, the same, just like ingress, you'll get that now in the RCRD. The problem now is that we have two different places where we're updating status. So one is in the valid invalid status of the CRD as well as the new ingress status for the load balancer. So Nick is working to kind of revamp that work. None of this should really be visible to users. It's sort of all behind the scenes refactoring, but just to know that that's coming, which is cool. As well as once we have this, we'll be able to send a PR to the external DNS project. So you'll be able to use external DNS with the HTTP proxy resource. So just an update on that. I know Nick still has, this one needs reviewed. I know James approved it. I take a look at it yet, but that'll be coming, which is cool. And once we have this work done, then we'll be able to add more status information into there, which is what we kind of wanted to do all along. Some of the information about, includes and that sort of thing with the proxy resource. Once we have more information in that status stanza, then we'll be able to drive things like maybe an Octant plugin or other kind of ways to get information back to the user to make it easier to consume.
Well, would that be considered phase 3 of this or step 3?
If you click on the link down there on 2371, I think Nick outlined all of the items in this.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah. So there, or James did, I guess. Yeah. So yeah. So I think this is adding the ingress status, and then the third part is to add the. Right now, when we build, when Contour goes and looks at all the ingress resources, it builds up that DAG in memory, that directed acyclic graph. What happens is today the output of that is a set of status messages, and then we set that. So we want to update that to, I guess what you get today is you only get one status message. So like say you had 3 errors with one resource, you'd get the first one in the status, you'd fix that and then get the second one, you'd fix that and get the third one. The idea is that to return a set of things. But that's kind of a bigger change to make that pop through. But yeah, I think these are all the bits that James outlined for us, which is great.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
I think we have James on the phone here as well. Do you want to talk about the XDS certificate rotation?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So Tero, who's on the call, good morning. It did all the groundwork for this. So we have all the machinery in place in Envoy and Contour to be able to update and rotate the XDS TLS certificates online. So this is the certificate that is used to secure the XDS channel that when Contour configures Envoy. So this series of PRs is basically so that we can kind of operationalize all of Tero's work. So I think we landed, I have to check off a couple of those. We landed 22, the last one, 2494 we've landed. And so the next step is to go through and update all the example YAML. So what's going to happen is that with the Contour 1.5, there'll be a new version of the certificate generation job, and then basically everything is going to flip over to reloadable certificates. As a side effect, or kind of part of operationalizing this change, is that the format of those certificate secrets is going to change, and they're going to be compatible with Cert Manager. So it'll be a drop-in replacement to change from using the CertGen generated certificates to using your own Cert Manager generated certificates.
Cool. Do you need any reviews or anything like that on any of the issues, the PRs here?
I think we're good. We have one issue which we're going to discuss, which is on the agenda for the issue discussion, which is the image pull policy.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that in a second.
That sounds great. Thank you, James. Steve, you want to talk about the upcoming release?
Yeah, so I linked in the closed PRs. So this week we're looking to release Contour 1.5, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I think there's a good mix of features as well as just internal restructuring that we've done. So the big ones I think are the fallback certificate work. So this is the case that I've talked about this on a few different community meetings now, but I think all the bits are now merged into there. So the idea is that if you have a request, client doesn't support SNI, which is what we use to do the routing for multiple host headers. If a client doesn't pass SNI, then we can enable this fallback certificate, which lets us still handle the request even if you didn't have SNI. So all the details are in there. There's the PRs are all in there, and the docs and everything should be all merged by now. That's one of the big ones. If you go back to the list, I think the ingress stuff we fixed. There was an issue we mentioned about the ingress status updating. There was a race condition. I think Nick will have that fixed with his PR merging. What else have we done? I got a bunch of internal stuff. The cert rotation stuff, which James just talked about, which is great. So thank you, Tara, again for all that work. That's fantastic to have that, coming into the project. I don't know, it's all in here. I feel like we'll get this all put together in a better set of release notes this week. But these are all the PRs that match into that release.
Sounds
One
good.
One question regarding the certificate rotation stuff. Should we have some kind of documentation? How should this be announced? Because it is kind of hidden in a way that there hasn't been that much documentation anyway about these XDS certificates. But how do you see how to make this known by the users?
I think
Yes, we should document this. You're right. So I think CertGen, we have an issue saying we have an issue somewhere that says we should document CertGen. So this whole machinery is currently undocumented. But you're right. It needs to be documented, and we need to kind of talk better about the all the moving pieces here, so that people know that they exist, and so people know how they can, replace that certificate generating machinery with their own. So I'm not sure that all the documentation will land before the 1.5 release, but we do have issues tracking it all. So it's kind of on my list, but I'm happy for people to help out with that too.
Yeah, because I was at some point I was thinking, for example, there could be some kind of article somewhere about using Cert Manager. Of course, that is something that can then be written when we have a story to tell that how to deploy with the correct volume mounts and so on with this compatibility. changes that you worked with. But I haven't started any kind of article, but that is like one perspective of that. But still, of course, that there is the other thing that people who have their own ways to issue certificates, like proprietary systems that to issue certificates, those are of course more interested in the machinery underneath and how it works, and just to be aware that this capability exists there. That is maybe harder to fit into any existing document that there is now today.
Yeah, Steve just dropped a link to a document which in the index is called enabling TLS between Envoy and Contour. So that's the document that kind of guides this machinery. And yeah, so thanks, Steve, that we do have a place that we can update and put all this information.
Yeah, we probably should break this up into some pieces, maybe, because now there's a couple different workflows. One is using the cert gen job, one is using cert manager, one, and then one would be like just doing it on your own.
What do you think then, with the time that there is left before the release, would it be then most like easiest thing to just somehow mention here in this document, adding some kind of chapter? I could try to think and try to submit a PR where it
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think at least if we outline that, hey, this functionality exists now, the rotation's there, and then we can maybe it's a guide or something we can build out to do more detailed docs on how to do each different scenario. But that'd be great. Yeah,
I will think that and try to submit a PR.
Cool, that'd be awesome. I'd love that. There's no particular rush before the release, so all the docs are actually built out of master anyway. So I'm okay if we don't land all this documentation, strictly before the release. It can come in afterwards if that's okay too.
Yeah.
It should be covered in a blog post around the release, or if you want to cover it a little more, if you want to wait until the docs are there and then we have a guide, and then we can do a blog post about it as well. Kind of walk people through it. But yeah, docs first, and then go from there. All right. Anything else regarding 1.5? The planned release date for this is Friday. Is that correct, Steve?
Yeah, I believe it'll be Australian Thursday, Australia, Friday, US. Yeah.
Okay. Or is that? Yeah. Okay. Let's
end of the month. It will be out there end of the month. Add the day plus minus, Jonas.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, my time zones are all messed up right now. I think that would be Saturday, Australia time, Friday, US time.
No, Friday Australia, Thursday night US.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, because Australia is. Yeah.
Reverse that. Yeah.
Ahead of us. Yeah. All right. Cool. So with time zones out of the way, let's move into the issue discussion here about image pull policy.
Actually, before we land on the issues, it might happen any minute now. I know the person is working on it. Contour is going to go up for voting by the TOC literally in the next couple of minutes. It's been a long journey for us, 5 months. So we started end of December, beginning of January. Michael, I know you're very involved in the open source upstream big community from your work with the CNCF and the board. Would love to hear +1 non-binding from you as well, and everybody else that's using and contributing on Contour. So it's big news for us. It's going to be a tremendous thing to donate to CNCF and have open governance and encourage more contributors to come and join our community and take Contour to bigger heights. So love to see your support. Go ahead, Jonas, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. I'm going to link to the pull request as well, so people can do a +1 there. So the image pull policy.
Yeah, I can start it, and then, or James, do you want to chat about it?
Oh, we can talk about it half each if you like.
Sure. Yeah. So the background of this is so today we have this examples directory in Contour, right? And the general idea behind it was that excuse me, that we would have this like everyone's network and deployment is sort of different. So the idea is that we had this examples thing so that you could take that and modify it and make it work for your environment. That said, because it lives on master, there's not a version on it, right? So it uses the master tag. So every time a PR merges to Contour, there's a job that runs and builds a new master image, releases that. So you can always use the head of Contour if you'd like. So in doing some work with some of the integration tests that James been leading up, he needs a way to pull that those images into like a test cluster locally, right? And the problem is that because we were using master, which is a kind of ever-changing tag, every PR that location moves, we had the image pool policy of always, so that anytime you deleted the Contour pod, it would always grab the latest version. But so James is proposing that we remove that to make it if not present. So the issue is on a kind cluster, if you sideload that image in this functional test kind of scenario, you don't want to go out to the internet and pull an image because you're going to provide the image locally through the testing infrastructure. But if the tag is always, then it's always going to try and go out and pull that image out from the internet, which can cause some unwanted behaviors in kind or in your test infrastructure.
Yeah,
so,
there's kind of another related issue, which is we actually we're in the quick start, which we ship as is project contour io/getting started quick start.yaml or something like that. We actually we have a script which generates that YAML, and for the last maybe 2 to 3 releases, that script has just used sed to change the image pull policy to if not present. But because it doesn't know about YAML objects, it does it unconditionally to everything. So the quick start YAML that we've actually shipped for the last few releases has image policy if not present for all the images, which is exactly what we want for the tagged images like Contour v1.4, Contour v1.3, but it's wrong for the CertGen image, which is latest.
right, and that's wrong because the CertGen job, you can't reapply it if it's the using a tagged image, which is why we use master for that image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is as part of shipping the certificate rotation, the CertGen job, what I would like to do is to figure out how to generate a unique job name for every Contour release, so that CertGen always runs when you install Contour. That way, every time you install, you'll get a certificate rotation, which is a nice side effect. And it's also a point where we can leverage CertGen to update things in the installation. So yeah, so the issue here is about, I think the question here is we have sort of two workflows. One is installing things through the quick start YAML, which we ship, and the other one is installing things through the raw examples from the master, checking out master, and these two workflows have slightly conflicting requirements. And I don't really see a way for us to get both of them right at the same time.
So what's the problem? We can't just update the pull policy? So if we could fix that, this would all go away? Or if we could do it for all the jobs, but the generation job?
So I can fix kind. I can munge kind with our scripts and kind of make that work. That's cool. I don't know how to fix this generate deployment. See, there's that set down the bottom. Thanks. Is this your screen, Jonas? Thank you.
Yep.
That set down the bottom, I don't have a way to get that right without using something like customize.
Okay, I mean we can. So if we use customize, this would all go away.
I could make it go away with
customize,
because with customize we could change the image pool policy for we could change the image. We could have the correct image pool policy for some of the things, but not for others.
Sure, yeah. I mean, my fear around changing this to be if not present just across the board in the examples is that it uses the master tag, and it feels that like if folks would deploy that, and then they would just be stuck on whatever version that is. That said, I mean, you probably shouldn't use master anyway in a real environment. Because it's just not a released version. So
yeah, I think mainly like when I'm using this, when I'm my workflow for this is I would always use this on a fresh cluster. So normally when I'm pulling master, it's because I've created a new cluster and I'm installing Contour. So I'm getting a master anyways, which is fine. But I can understand that people might have different workflows too. So.
I locally I would deploy the examples and then I excuse me, I edit the image to be my custom version that I build locally. But that's one place I have to edit. I can edit two places too if it's not the end of the world. But and the other thing is that we use, I think we tag the latest tag as always the most recent release, which might be better for examples anyway. So project contour / contour tag latest might be a better one, just so then it would always be the last release. And then if folks deployed this, they would get a release version instead of the master version. And then if they want the master, they could always change it themselves to do that.
I could be convinced that latest is a better choice than master.
It just will always pull.
You'd still. I think if you still are pointing people to this and pointing them to latest, then latest sort of still implies image policy always.
Sure, it'll still try and pull, but as long as in our workflows we can change that to if not present. I think if you set if not present, the latest still overrides it. So
I think I'm hoping we'll talk about. I'm hoping we'll have some time next release to kind of talk a bit more about the customized thing and move this move all this YAML into something that we can all agree is like supported rather than an example, and then these kinds of questions we would naturally resolve as part of that.
Just a quick question here, James. This PR is only for local development, right? This is not for deployment of.
No, this is the same stuff. So this is the. It's sort of awkward because it's an example, but it's also the quick start. So it's the closest thing we have to the official way to install Contour.
Okay.
So this is the YAML. This is the YAML that is linked to, is published for the Contour quick start. So when you just say, "Hey, quick start Contour, install this YAML," this is that.
So for 1.5, the least effort is someone just runs this and edits the file directly and then commits that as the release, right? Fixes the one little part that shouldn't be changed in the search gen job.
Yes.
I understand that's lame and that's, a bad workaround, but at least that gets us through this release in 3 days.
Yes.
And then we can discuss, like customize. I'm fine with customize. I just worry that if we don't keep that examples folder, it's just too unwieldy for folks to consume. There's just so much stuff then. But again, that's a different conversation we can chat about.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do it we could do it by hand in the release. I don't like that because I'm trying to do less things by hand in the release. But since we're so close to the release, I guess hopefully we could just do it once
Is the
ish.
issue, sorry, James, is the issue here the set command that you can't get right? Or
Yep.
okay, so
Yep.
eventually just some help with regular expressions and exclude some files. Is that what you need, or?
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. That could.
You can just do, I mean,
Yeah.
we're listing all the files here. If we hit one specific file, we don't run this. For all other files, we just run this.
All right. I'll make that change.
Yeah, that should be an easy if else thing. If you need anything, let me know. I'm happy to do help out there too.
All right. I can change it. Yeah, you're right. I can change it in there. I can just match on the file name there and only change the and make sure that I change a different image policy for the search end ones.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Done. Thank you.
Sure thing. And yeah, ping me if you need any testing or anything like that. All right, I think that's it. Did you want to add anything else for the image policy here?
Nope. I can do that workaround. That'll work fine.
All right. Yeah, so that's it for today's meeting. As Michael
Can I ask
said,
a quick question before we close?
Please. Yeah.
I missed last week, unfortunately, but I just wanted to go back on the pulling in Lua and that change. I know, James, you pinged me about that. What was the outcome of that? Was the decision to, I think your PR has been merged, so you're going to use Lua to do that browser coalescing issue with SNI and wildcards?
Yep, we're doing that today. So that's there for 1.5. So Lua's there as an implementation detail.
Okay.
It's not exposed through the Contour API in any way. It's just that we'll generate TLS virtual hosts that make this check.
Okay. And have you, I'm not sure of the impact of Lua on performance. Have you looked at that at all in terms of, is there any degradation on throughput or performance by enabling the Lua check? Or should it be, once it spins up, it should be quick?
It should be quick. I haven't done any benchmarking. I don't have a good benchmarking rig. My experience with Lua in the past is that it's pretty lightweight for pretty much anything except the most demanding sorts of use cases.
Okay. And I pinged you in Slack, James, just wondering if there's like a non-Lua way to do this. I know there's been some recent changes to Envoy, but obviously the upstream issue on Envoy is still open. So
yes, I think because it's just an internal change, our thinking is that if and when there is a non-Lua way to do that in Envoy, we would switch over to that.
adopt that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking at I have the PR that you pointed me to up here. Not quite. I just need to look.
Yeah, it's not super easy to. Yeah, there's
like some other issues linked and.
Yeah, exactly. So just have a look at it when you get a chance.
Yeah. So that would be for. That would probably this will probably come in. No, it's all in V3.
Yeah, they're not adding anything to V2. It's been locked.
Okay. V3 API in Contour is a while off, I would say.
Okay, cool. That's all. Thanks.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo the comment earlier by Michael regarding the voting that's happening today. The announcement should go out any minute. We've seen 2 other announcements already go out for 2 other projects, Spiffy Spire and Harbor. So yeah, keep a lookout on the CNCF TOC mailing list, and if you want to add in your non-binding or binding both there, please do so. And yeah, with that, we're going to end the meeting. Have a fantastic rest of the week, everyone. Take care, and we'll also I'll see you next week.
It's good. Yeah, take care.
Bye.